Batboy of the Savannah Cardinals. The team had to let him go when the U.S. Department of Labor enforced a law stating 14 and 15-year-olds can't work past 7 p.m. Since then, Grayson Stadium has become a media circus attracting the likes of CNN, CBS, and ABC.
The public opinion on this whole issue has just really been embraced. I mean, the Batboy versus the feds. It just doesn't get any better than that.
Sizzler went on to say that he can't believe this incident is receiving so much attention, but the Cardinals hope the publicity will help get Tommy McCoy's job back.
Batboy's gone big time.
I know. Is that something?
Still to come from the news center tonight, a haircut has early morning commuters in San Francisco snipped. We'll have the story.
On and off the field these days?
Craziness over there, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, maybe that is taking some of the pressure away from the winning streak. You know, they went into tonight's game on a winning streak, and people are paying more attention to who is the Batboy. Yeah, that's the way it works sometimes. But they'll get some attention on the field. The Savannah Cardinals have gotten a lot of attention in recent days, but most of it centered around former Batboy Tommy McCoy, who was forced to be let go by the Labor Department for being underage. But the Cardinals, they were working on an 8-game winning streak, and they own the best record in professional baseball. At Grayson Stadium tonight, the Cardinals hosted the Augusta Pirates, and in the first inning, the Pirates threatening, but Aldo Pecorelli nails Jay Crawford. Down 2-0 in the fourth, the Cardinals get one back, runners on the corners, and Darren Doucette grounds into a double play. John O'Brien comes in to score to make it 2-1. In the fifth inning, the Cardinals break this one open. Watch the great bunt by Hector Colon. Runners safe at first and second base. Then Chad Sumner lays down a bunt, and Augusta can't make this play either at second base, and everyone is safe. The bases are loaded. Then Garrett Blanton comes to the plate. He gets an easy RBI. He takes one for the team. That scores Ronnie French, tying the game at 2. Then the next batter, Keith Black, hits the fielder's choice, scoring Colon from third base to make it 3-2 in favor of Cardinals, beating the throw to first. And Brian Rupp chops one to third. 2 runs come in to score, and the Cardinals win this one by a score of 5-2. The two teams meet again tomorrow night at 7:15. Now in the major leagues, the Atlanta Braves were in Cincinnati.
To continue on, the
Savannah Cardinals continues to attract national and top-level government attention. 14-year-old Tommy McCoy, who was fired from his position as Batboy with the Savannah Cardinals last week as a result of a child labor law violation, remains in the spotlight as Department of Labor officials, including Labor Secretary Robert Reich, speak out on the issues of child labor and welfare. The Labor Department has launched an investigation to decide whether or not child labor laws should apply to Batboys of minor league baseball teams. Current law stipulates that 14 and 15-year-olds can't work past 7 o'clock on school nights or 9 o'clock during the summer. Well, in other news, apparently the Georgia Bureau...
Pat Etheridge explains why.
Tommy McCoy was having the time of his life as a minor league bat boy for the Savannah Cardinals. But after just 6 weeks on the diamond of his dreams, the 14-year-old was told to walk.
I was disappointed that somebody would take somebody's dream away like this.
It happened after Tommy was profiled in the local newspaper. The feature apparently caught the attention of the U.S. Department of Labor. Federal law prohibits youngsters under the age of 16 from working past 7 p.m. on school nights and 9 p.m. during the summer. So the team was forced to let Tommy go.
This is kind of an exception, isn't it? You know, he's a bad boy, for God's sakes. But they didn't see it that way, and we had to do what we had to do.
No matter the feel of a well-oiled glove and the smell of fresh-cut grass and a little boy's love for baseball, feds were threatening a nationwide crackdown.
But this is a case where following the letter of the law strikes many as well off base. Bat boys have been around as long as baseball, an integral part of the Savannah Cardinals for the last 90 years.
Suddenly, minor league managers across the country had reason to worry.
One of our kids' job was in jeopardy, and hopefully it doesn't get blown out of proportion.
But in the wake of intense media scrutiny, the Labor Department backed off, issuing a statement during the Cardinals' Wednesday night game admitting this application of the law appears silly. and promising to review the rules with regard to bat boys.
It needs to be changed, especially for a situation like this. How many 18 or 20-year-old bat boys you going to find for a minor league ball game?
It's outrageous. You know, that's what baseball is all about. You need to have more kids involved in the game.
It blows my mind because here a little 14-year-old kid gets a break. You know, I would have loved to be a bat boy when I was his age.
Keep battling, little man.
Do your homework.
Unless things change, Tommy McCoy will sit out the season on the sidelines.
Well, I'm going to have to get used to it. But it's not going to be the same.
There's something magic about little boys and baseball, and it would be tragic to take that magic away. Pat Etheridge, CNN, Savannah, Georgia.
And we'll be back. Dollars and cents next. Wall Street has its
long. 14-year-old Tommy McCoy suddenly found himself on the outside looking in because of a child labor law that says no 14-year-old can work past 7 o'clock during the school year. The Department of Labor forced the Savannah Cardinals to fire Tommy.
I felt disappointed about it.
Enter the local and national media to blow the story wide open.
Disbelief. I just couldn't believe that this was happening.
So even for the bad boy, would this be a tough time to have to leave the team?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why?
Bad boy, I mean, he sparks us.
We still felt as though that, this is kind of an exception, isn't it? You know, he's a bad boy, for God's sake. So, but they didn't see it that way, and we had to do what we had to do.
And what the Cardinals had to do, Rick Sisler, general manager, is fire Tommy. And Rick, a bit of a victory today, and still a little bit of ways to go.
Yeah, we think we're taking a positive step towards getting Tommy reinstated, and we'll see what happens.
Now, today, the Georgia Department of Labor made that statement that the law has been waived. Now it has to go to the Secretary of Labor for the United States. What are the chances this is going to happen soon?
Well, I think that the public opinion is demanding a response to this issue, and hopefully it'll be forthcoming soon.
Okay, but before that, Tommy will be the honored guest tomorrow night with the Philly Fanatic.
Yeah, we're going to let Tommy throw out the first pitch. We're going to be selling T-shirts with the proceeds going to multiple sclerosis, and we hope for a big crowd tomorrow.
All right, let's bring Tommy back. Is that with the T-shirt?
Absolutely. Save Tommy's job, actually.
All right, Teresa and Mike, everyone's trying to save Tommy's job. It's now in the Secretary of Labor's court, but also today, Jack Kingston, in the House of Representatives for the United States, made a speech on the floor saying this is injustice. We need to change something quickly. So if the Secretary of Labor can't do nothing, this is going to Congress.
Ooh, this is going to be a continuing story.
I have a feeling it might be over by tomorrow night.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully for the good of Tommy.
All right.
Okay, bye.
The Clinton economic...
As long as her health and well-being are not impaired. He went on to say that his department will look into the matter to see if regulation in such a case is truly necessary. Such an investigation can't come soon enough for Cardinals fans.
The whole thing is really taking off. You know, that a lot of people are really embracing this whole issue and being infuriated about it, as far as the federal government stepping in and telling a bad boy that he can't work anymore. People have very strong opinions on this issue.
So, Natalie, that's where it stands for now. We do know that a protest will be held tomorrow at 12 o'clock outside the federal building here in Savannah. They're protesting against U.S. Department of Labor rules. Back to you, Natalie.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ian.
Also cried foul. Well, he has scored a victory tonight. We're going to join our Mitch Glicken. He is live from Grayson Stadium. So, Mitch, could we say that the bat boy, Tommy McCoy, has probably scored a home run?
Doug, a lot of people are going to bat for Tommy McCoy, including Georgia Labor Department, head of the Department of the Georgia Labor, David Poitras, issued a statement today saying Tommy McCoy can be the Savannah Cardinals bat boy. He waived the Georgia law that prohibited him from doing so. The problem now, though, is that Tommy McCoy now has to wait for the U.S. Secretary of Labor to issue a statement and clear the way for a U.S. federal law to be waived. Joining me now to sort all this out is Eric Johnson, who is in the Georgia House in Tommy's district. What's going on, Eric?
Well, we've taken care of Georgia and done what we can here, but unfortunately the U.S. laws are above Georgia's laws, so now we have to work on the Secretary of Labor.
All right, and of course, a lot of people are going to bat for him. Jack Kingston did it today.
Jack Kingston took the floor of the House today, got the attention of the U.S. Secretary of Labor and the chairman of the Labor Committee in the House happened to have this same incident happen to him when he was a bat boy, and it stirred up memories, and we've enlisted his help also.
All right, so Doug, round one is over, and Tommy McCoy comes out the winner. Unfortunately, there's going to be probably 2 or 3 more rounds involved. This could end up having to go to the Senate.
All right, thanks very much, Mitch. Coming up on the news, the onion farmer's secret to
of either retiring or being released. Murphy, who spent 13-plus seasons with the Braves before a 1990 trade to Philadelphia, was just 2 home runs shy of the magical 400 mark. He was a 7-time All-Star and a 2-time National League MVP, and truly one of the greatest and classiest players ever to play the game of baseball or any other sport for that matter. Savannah Cardinals just keep on keeping on, and the fans continue to show no appreciation for the best team that we have ever had. The Cards have the best record in professional baseball right now. Tonight they'll be going for their 10th straight win when they meet Augusta again. Cards opened the series last night when they came from behind to win 5-2, so let's head out to the old ballpark and pick this one up. We're down 2-0, bottom of the 7th, no out, runners at the corners, and the 3 Musketeers there. Derek Duche is going to hit one into a double play here, but John O'Brien is going to score on the fielder's choice. It's 2-1 Pirates, bottom of the 7th. After we've tied it 2-2 on a bases-loaded walk, Keith Black is going to hit what looks like he is going into a double play, but the Pirates couldn't turn it. Hector Cullen scores. It is 3-2 Savannah, but it gets better. Brian Rupp is going to bounce one down the third base. Chad Sumner scores. Meanwhile, the throw to first gets past, and Rupp comes on in. It goes to Liberty County. Keith Black races home 5-2. That was how it stayed, and that's how it went last night. Now, in the meantime, the national news media is even interested in the Cardinals themselves, but not for the winning record because of your tax dollars at work. They were out to see the once and future bat boy, Tommy McCoy, public enemy #1 with the U.S. Department of Labor. You see, Tommy, 14, was working past 7 p.m. as a Cardinal bat boy, and the child labor laws prevent that. And while we know and he knows the reason behind the law, it's obvious that there should be some flexibility. But boy, has he become famous. And Cardinal third baseman Chad Sumner thinks so too.
Really hysterical because my mom has been getting all these calls at work, and everybody wants to interview me, and I've been getting calls over the phone, and lots of people are for me and they're supporting me. So the 20th, when they had to fire me, I wasn't really surprised, but I was disappointed, not in the Cardinals, but in the law.
You know, the laws are put there to protect people like you, but in a situation like this, it seems to me they could make an exception, don't you think?
Yeah, I think they should make an exception. I respect the law fully because I understand it's there to protect us, and I'm just trying to have fun out there.
CNN's here today. I don't know what's next. Oprah Winfrey, maybe. I don't know.
Good possibility, as a matter of fact. The NBA playoffs take the night off. Last night in the Great North.
Attention, 14-year-old Tommy McCoy, who was fired from his position as bat boy with the Savannah Cardinals last week as a result of a child labor law violation, remains in the spotlight. U.S. Department of Labor Secretary Robert Reich released a statement saying the application of child labor laws in the case of 14-year-old bat boys does at first glance look silly, and it is not the intent of the law to deny young teenagers employment opportunities so long as their health and well-being are not impaired. The Labor Department has launched an investigation to decide if child labor laws should apply to bat boys of minor league baseball teams. Current law stipulates that 14 and 15-year-olds can't work past 7 p.m. on school nights or 9 p.m. during the summer. And don't go away. We'll be back with more local headlines and check in with Scott.
Team in the minors. But when the local paper ran a story on the great job this 14-year-old was doing, his days with the team seemed over.
The day the story was published, the Labor Department was at my front door.
Federal child labor laws make it illegal for anyone under 16 to work past 7 p.m. on school nights. And the Labor Department refused to make an exception for bat boys.
Go, go, go!
So last night, Tommy had to cheer his team on from up in the stands.
I was disappointed that somebody would take somebody's dream away like this.
So were the fans and players.
I don't agree with it. I see a lot of kids up in the stands till the game's over with anyway, so I don't see any problem with Tommy being our bat boy.
I really don't think it's fair. If a boy like that, I know my boys would love to have the opportunity to be a bat boy.
At the start of the game, Tommy thought he would have to wait 2 seasons before he could get his old job back. But by the top of the 5th inning, he found out it was a whole new ball game. A fax arrived at the stadium that raised Tommy's hopes. It was from Labor Secretary Robert Reich, promising to review the matter, saying the application of child labor laws in the case of 14-year-old Batboys does, at first glance, look silly.
Guess I'm just lucky.
Very lucky. Late this afternoon, Reich temporarily suspended child labor laws with respect to baseball, and the team has promised Tommy his job back. Mike Von Fremd, ABC News, Savannah.
And that's progress. When we come back, the American agenda.
Position as Batboy with the Savannah Cardinals last week as a result of a child labor law violation remains in the spotlight. U.S. Department of Labor Secretary Robert Reich released a statement saying the application of child labor laws in the case of 14-year-old Batboys does at first glance look silly, and it is not the intent of the law to deny young teenagers employment opportunities so long as their health and well-being are not impaired. The Labor Department has launched an investigation to decide if child labor laws should apply to Batboys of minor league baseball teams. Current law stipulates that 14 and 15-year-olds can't work past 7 p.m. on school nights or 9 p.m. during the summer. And don't go away. We'll be back with more local headlines and check in with...
He has his job back.
The 14-year-old was fired because of child labor laws, but the United States Department of Labor has issued a waiver, and he's back on the job. John Roberts joins us live from the sports office with more on the story. John?
Well, Lisa and Ken, what happened was the United States Department of Labor said they were going to look into these laws to see if they really were fair and really were necessary in the case of a 14-year-old Batboy, but they're still looking at them, but they decided that in the time being, that Tommy McCoy can continue his job as the Savannah Cardinals Batboy, and he's just glad all the commotion is over.
Well, it's been like chaos, because every night when I would come to the stadium, there'd be reporters waiting for me. Kids would hound me out of school and tell me and ask me questions, what's going on lately?
Well, what's going on lately has been a lot of national attention for Tommy, but it is basically all over right now. He has his job back for the rest.
Oh, they're extinct. Can Cheddar stop the panic on Elm Street?
What's for dinner?
Hey.
This evening, both state and federal labor regulators giving into pressure and giving Tommy his job back.
Our Mitch Glicken is following the story and joins us live in our 24-hour newsroom with more tonight.
Mitch, what's going on?
I'll tell you what, guys, we have one happy 14-year-old. We have a happy full of nation baseball fans because the nation rallied behind us. If Washington could work this fast for everything, I think we wouldn't have a problem in the world. But today, the Secretary of Labor in Georgia, David Poitras, paved the way by saying he would waive the Georgia law. And tonight, the U.S. Secretary of Labor came through, and now Tommy McCoy has a job. After a weeks-long blitz by the local and national media, Savannah Cardinal fans cheered loudly when it was announced that 14-year-old Batboy Tommy McCoy was getting his job back.
How does it feel to be back in gainful employment?
Well, it's going to be exciting just as it was the first time, and it's just like starting all over again.
That's right. We're very surprised that the reaction was this soon after the whole thing came to light. Guess Tommy shook him up there in Washington, huh?
After being seen on CNN, ABC, and even the Canadian Broadcasting Network, Tommy's become somewhat of a celebrity. He's even signing autographs, but most of all, he's grateful for the support.
Yeah, well, I still get thrown out the first pitch, and there are a lot of people in Savannah that care, and I want to say thank you to all of them.
And, guys, I think that says it all. Tommy McCoy says thank you to everyone who helped him out, and he also said the good news is he gets to go back to work tomorrow night.
Mitch, how is Tommy handling all of this attention?
I think he's glad it's over because now he can go back and do his job.
All right, thanks, Mitch.
On the serious side of the news tonight, a major bust in Camden County. Millions.
It all adds up to being named a Blue Ribbon National School of Excellence.
Positive endeavor for the whole community. I think it speaks well for what we're doing in this community for our kids.
The other Coastal Empire school given this prestigious award is Statesboro Southeast Bullock High School. Our congratulations to both of those schools. We also want to say one other thing because a good
young to work the night games as a bat boy at Grayson Stadium.
And our Alice Stewart's following Tommy's trouble, and tonight found him back at work at the ballpark. Yogi Berra once said, "The game's not over until it's over." And for 14-year-old Tommy McCoy, his game is just beginning. Tommy's been rehired as a bat boy after 1 week of unemployment.
I think it's great that everything has been happening and people have been supporting me. And it just worked. Now I have my job back.
Tommy's back all right and somewhat a celebrity, throwing out the first ball and having a ball with the Philly Fanatic. Everyone seems to be happy, including the Cardinals' very first bat boy.
I think it's wonderful, and it sends a positive message to all the other ball boys for different clubs.
Baseball fans, both young and old, are glad that Tommy's back here working in the dugout, but it couldn't have been done without a lot of public support and political clout. Like Congressman Jack Kingston, who went to bat for Tommy in Washington, D.C.
I think it says as big as our government has gotten, it still has a heart, and it still can bend to practical things.
To me, the lesson really is that sometimes the good guys win, that the grassroots and enough pressure from the people can still turn the country around no matter how big it is.
They would just change the law and make an exception, and I think that they're not that half bad.
County commissioners are trying to make this temporary law change permanent.
But I think that the intent of the law, the child labor law, was certainly not to keep youngsters from getting involved in what is probably the biggest American tradition we have, which is the sport of baseball.
Right, baseball, hot dogs, and now Tommy McCoy. Alice Stewart, WTOC News.
Yeah, I bet they'll be glad when all this kind of settles down and go back to regular playing baseball.
I have not seen a situation like this that has gotten so much attention. It's amazing.
I don't think anybody's tried to do anything like that. And we won't put any modifiers on that at all. Pat's up next with the weather. And wouldn't you know it, with the holiday...
Who's the world's most famous bad boy. And there was a Philly Fanatic who put on a great show over there. Man, that guy is... Well, he's wild. There are plenty of reasons, though, this night should go down in the history books for the Savannah Cardinals. The Batboy is back. The Cards won their 11th game, and the Philly Fanatic was in town. Let's go over to Grayson, where Batboy Tommy McCoy had all eyes on him as he threw out the first pitch, and he reassumed his duties as Batboy, and then here comes the Philly Fanatic, right in your face. It's the Fanatic, Lisa. It's just a green thing. I don't know what it is, but he's great. And so is John O'Brien here. Watch OB get the sac fly here. He is out, but Keith Black hustles home, beats the throw out. Savannah was up to stay. At that point, Joe McEwing then got a shot down the left field line. That scored Chad Sumner, and Savannah has won their 11th in a row by a score of 8-1. Well, the Atlanta Braves had a golden opportunity to make up some ground on the San Francisco Giants tonight. They are 4 games behind the Giants, and the two teams clashed in Atlanta.
Believe me, baseball and chewing tobacco have had a relationship going since the game began. Now the game is trying to get smokeless tobacco off the diamond. Baseball's governing bodies have banned smokeless tobacco, but they didn't start in the bigs. They started it in the minor leagues.
It's ridiculous. You know, kids are going to make up their own mind. I never started dipping because of baseball players that I saw doing it.
I think it's ridiculous. You tell me that, you know. First of all, you know, most of these guys here are 22, 23, 24 years old.
Baseball is going through some tough times right now. The ban was installed to try to keep kids from picking up the habit. The rule seems to be working. If a player is caught, he and his manager are thrown out of the game, and both are fined $100. Now, players are searching for alternatives. Some chew gum, others are loading up on the sunflower seeds.
I'm chewing so many seeds I can't even pucker afterwards. My mouth is so dehydrated from all the salt. It's horrible.
The players can't stand the new rule, but they will admit to dear old mom liking it.
My mom's tickled pink about it.
So baseball goes through yet another change. Most would say this is for the better, while the players disagree and try to quit cold turkey. Ken Greiner, WTOC Sports. Baseball and chewing tobacco have had a relationship going since the game began. Now the game is trying to get smokeless tobacco off the diamond. Baseball's governing bodies have banned smokeless tobacco, but they didn't start in the bigs. They started it in the minor leagues.
It's ridiculous. You know, kids are going to make up their own mind. I never started dipping because of baseball players that I saw doing it.
I think it's ridiculous. You tell me that, first of all, most of these guys here are 22, 23, 24 years old.
Baseball is going through some tough times right now. The ban was installed to try to keep kids from picking up the habit and to try to clean up baseball's image. This is a parody from the movie The Naked Gun. The rule seems to be working. If a player is caught, he and his manager are thrown out of the game, and both are fined $100. Now, players are searching for alternatives. Some chew gum, others are loading up on the sunflower seeds.
I'm chewing so many seeds I can't even pucker afterwards. My mouth is so dehydrated from all the salt. It's horrible.
The players can't stand the new rule, but they will admit to dear old mom liking it.
My mom's tickled pink about it.
So baseball goes through yet another change. Most would say this is for the better, while the players disagree and try to quit cold turkey. Ken Greiner, WTOC Sports. Fort Pulaski is a lesson in overconfidence. The 25-ton brick fortification at the mouth of the Savannah River was thought to be indestructible. When Georgia seceded from the Union in January of 1861, the fort was taken without a shot being fired, and the Confederate flag flew over Pulaski. The troops were confident they would be there a long time. In December of '61, Union forces left Hilton Head Island and set up on the northwest corner of Tybee. The rebels still felt very safe. A young second lieutenant, Robert E. Lee, worked on the island's drainage system, and Lee believed the federal gunners could not reach the walls of Pulaski with their guns on the west end of Tybee. On April 10th, the Confederates refused to sign a formal surrender. At 8 o'clock that morning, the Battle of Pulaski was on. This is Tybee Island. The Union forces were firing from Tybee at a mile to a mile and a half away from Fort Pulaski. The Confederate troops thought they were safe behind these thick brick walls. Little did they know, the Union forces had a new weapon.
Rifle cannon were, of course, the state-of-the-art artillery technology of the mid-19th century.
It was putting rifling in the barrels of cannons, and that made them extremely accurate at long ranges. The only thing is nobody knew what it would do because it had never been used in warfare until the war between the states.
The rifle cannon proved to be the downfall of Pulaski. After just one day of bombardment, the Confederate forces felt the situation hopeless, and they surrendered the fort. Today, the fort is a memorial dedicated to the men who built, bombed, and defended the seaside garrison. It also serves as a history lesson on the elusiveness of invincibility. Ken Greiner, WTOC News. Fort Pulaski was supposed to be indestructible. The 48th Regiment of New York and other troops proved that to be wrong, taking the fort in just over a day as the Bronx bombers captured the seaside garrison.
Once the Union troops took Fort Pulaski, they had plenty of leisure time on their hands. They played a game which was then in its primitive stages, a game we now know as baseball.
The game was very different back in the mid-1800s. A batter could call for where he wanted to pitch. The ball was thrown underhanded, first bounce was an out, and players did not use gloves. The similarities were there, though. Each side had 9 players, 3 strikes were an out, there were balks, and there was already a controversy going on as to whether or not a pitcher could make a ball curve. The troops looked forward to playing a game whenever they could.
It must have been pretty important because it was mentioned in the regimental history. I mean, this regimental history was written 30 years after the war, and the fellow remembers the score and mentions how their baseball team was the best in the area. It must have been really important because, I mean, they were so isolated here.
In an ironic twist, the division of our nation helped unify the rules of baseball. Before the war, many forms of ball were being played around America. When the men from different areas got together, most troops started playing what is known as the New York rules. Baseball at the fort is well documented. This photo at Pulaski is the earliest known action photograph of men playing baseball. And part of Pulaski is in the Baseball Hall of Fame, as a copy hangs in the hall at Cooperstown. As for Abner Doubleday inventing the game, it's a myth. No one invented baseball, it evolved. Ken Greiner, WTOC Sports.